letters A through H, and then I created new matrices right here, assigning all the values back to them. Since they're edited, I didn't want to use the original text files. And then I basically wrote all of these to a meshlab.txt and used this here to ensure that it went to the text file correctly. And I used this based off of advice on Canvas on using fprintf. And through trial and error, I realized that just a new itself wouldn't work. I had to use a new prime to adjust the matrix. So then I put it to MeshLab, and this is what my final product came out with after a lot of tinkering. It's not perfect. There's a lot of complexity in my point cloud, so it doesn't lead to a perfect block. But here you can see the bench. This is like kind of like Kermit's head up here. Here's Jim Henson's head. Kind of his arm reaching out and a little bit of his legs right here, and you can see the general shape of the bench. It didn't get the back of it very well, but I'm going to walk through how exactly I got this. So first, if I start a new project here, I loaded in my meshlab.txt, and I made sure that this was a space with the point format XYZ. And then I loaded this in here. Then I went to render and I went show normal. And then I applied a normal filter to this. And I tried a lot of different normal filters, but the one that worked the best for me was about 300. So first I'll show how it looks with about 10. So I try to focus on Jim Henson here for this to figure out if they were normal or not. So I go here. As you can see, a lot of the points aren't very normal to him. And if I kick this up to like 50, they start to become more normal, or 100, and they look better. But the number, if I go too high to like 1,000, which I can show later, but if I used 1,000, it didn't come out very well. So then I ended up just settling on about 300 through a lot of trial and error. I feel like this outlines Jim Henson pretty well. And while all the arrows don't face each other because of the complexity of the scan, it kind of gives a good shape. Again, focusing especially right here, it seems like it outlines him pretty well. And then after that, I go to the surface reconstruction using a screen Poisson. Through trial and error, I realized that bringing these down to 1 made it look a little bit better. And I also merge all visible layers, hit apply. Which eventually gets me this, which has a lot of noise in it, but I then used this right here to kind of slowly work my way through getting rid of all these extra rectangles created, and eventually that got me to what I just showed. So I get to about, if I could just pull up this. So eventually it gets me to this after shaving off a lot of it, and overall it's not a perfect mesh. It's probably wouldn't necessarily print too well, but I could probably also try and smoothen it out a little bit using other software, but it's not terrible. And through a lot of trial and error again, I got to a spot where you can kind of see a resemblance of what it's representing. And then I'll just show briefly what's some of the other things that I came across. So get rid of that. Again, when I used 1,000, I got a really weird mesh, so I realized it was too big of a number. And then when I used just something smaller like 10, it again comes up with a very weird looking mesh. So again, 300 kind of was like the sweet spot, and then I messed with like the surface reconstruction to eventually get me what I had showed. So yeah, that's basically how I went creating the mesh.